Don in London, hello, October 15th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. And the time is just 8:30 in the morning. So, recovery from addiction to substance or behaviour. My addiction to substance was alcohol. My behaviour, cross-addicted into work, relationships, anything, food, I guess the gym, sweets, you know. The list is endless. If we can't get the primary source of our addiction, then we'll go for something else. And that was me too, all the way through those 35 years of drinking. And the reason why it's important for me to remember how long is to understand which drink did the damage. And it was the first one, I guess, for me. That first drink which took the edge off, made me feel convivial, even though I hadn't even reached my teens. So it took the edge off, it made me feel different, it took away some fear, it took away the need to put on a brave face, or maybe it just reinforced the brave face and helped me with my ego, because my self-esteem was low. I was a fearful kid, and I probably had a good reason to. Life at home wasn't too good, and life at school wasn't too good, and yeah, it was not easy. So, how did I get to recovery? How on earth did I find a way out of this conundrum? 24/7 drinking, all my binges joined up at the end, and I just could not stop, and life had got very desolate. Much success in my life, and much to ponder on as I crashed and burned, and lost my way. Got totally exhausted by trying to keep on working when I was very, very ill. So we learn something as we go, and sometimes when people have a nervous breakdown, some people refer to it as a nervous breakthrough, and I guess it's a question of whether you get to the other side of it, from the suicidal feelings into a place of abject misery often, or clinical depression, and those things are no stranger to me. So life has been a roller coaster, and these days, by not drinking one day at a time, I get a chance to understand my emotional, physical and spiritual well-being on a daily basis. And what helps me more than anything else is how to keep sober, and a fellowship called AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for AA, never can, never will. It's full of unique, authentic people. But there is a preamble or a statement of intent shared about what AA can and cannot do. And it goes a bit like, well, it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And we all do this in different ways. So part of me doing these videos is for my benefit, as a daily reflection about where I am today and what's happening, and how am I feeling and why, and what may I do to live in this ever-present, imperfectly perfect moment of now, which is what I consider spiritual to be, to see reality, and to be able to understand where I am, who I am, and how to learn about who I am becoming as I learn more about life. So it's an ever-changing picture as we gain wisdom, I hope. And sometimes to gain wisdom we have to go out and make more mistakes. Or often they're not mistakes, they're just life experiences where we don't understand and we learn something new. And that's what the fellowship does for me. Sobriety comes first, and then I can be a part of family, community, society, and get the other help I need for anything else that is going on in my life. So I don't work or live in isolation. I work and live with people, and I look to be included, and the best way of doing that is to be sober, so I can be useful and share and understand what is going on. So I'm learning, and part of what I do here is share the literature of AA, the daily readings from this book, Daily Reflections, And today, October 15th, it says, my checklist, not yours. And it reminds me of last night when I went to a meeting. So, very new newcomers, in their first days or even their first hours. And it's always good when people focus on the way forward, if you like, those early days, the first 90 days, 1990, all the things we do to get a hold and a grip of what can be sober. What's it like to be sober a day at a time? And all those awful moments of panic, anxiety, distress. Not easy. And people hate it. And no wonder, because it's going completely against our better nature, if you like, or our worst nature, because we want to keep on drinking, to find oblivion from our problems and the awfulness we find ourselves in those early days. So when it says my checklist, not yours, the reason why it reminds me, somebody made a comment, all men are jerks, and I thought that's a bit hurtful. And then I realised during those 35 years how much of a jerk was I, and how much am I a jerk today? Well, hopefully less so, just a bit less so, just learning and sweeping statements. But this is why this checklist is important. It says, my checklist, not yours. Gossip barbed without anger, a polite form of murder by character assassination, has its satisfactions for us too. Here we are not trying to help those we criticise, we are trying to proclaim our own righteousness. Applies to me. Sometimes I don't realise that I gossiped about someone until the end of the day. When I take an inventory of the day's activities and then go gossiping, and my gossiping appears like a blemish in my beautiful day, how could I have said something like that? Gossip shows its ugly head during a coffee break or lunch with business associates, or I may gossip during the evening when I'm tired from the day's activities and feel justified in bolstering my ego at the expense of someone else. Character defects like gossip sneak into my life when I am not making a constant effort to work the 12 steps of recovery. I need to remind myself that my uniqueness is the blessing of my being, and that applies equally to everyone who crosses my path in life's journey. Today, the only inventory I need to make or take is my own. I leave judgment of others to the final judge, divine providence. And it's a barbed thing. Everybody's classified as a jerk of the male gender. I know I was, and I can only take my inventory. But although we all have to, from the mouth of someone who is angry and upset, comes a truth that we need to accept. And these learnings are not always nice. So anyway, coming on to As Bill Sees It for today. Day of Homecoming, and this is about newcomers too, page 229. As sobriety means long life and happiness for the individual, so does unity mean exactly the same thing to our society as a whole. Unified we live, disunited we shall perish. We must think deeply of all those sick ones or emotionally ill ones still to come into AA as they try to make their return to faith and to life. We want them to find everything in AA that we found, and yet more, if that is possible. No care, no vigilance, no effort to preserve AA's constant effectiveness and spiritual strength will ever be too great to hold us in full readiness for the day of their homecoming. And that was a letter and a talk from 1949 and 1959. And the day of the homecoming, when we have a responsibility to ourselves and to other people to share a message of experience, strength and hope, and the message is often the positive and the negative, because we need to learn the difference, which is where acceptance comes in, knowing what we can do, what we can't do. And when we get harsh remarks, one way or another, it's a challenge to our own understanding of who we are and our own inventory of ourselves. Not to take the other person's, but it did highlight to me just how difficult it is and the impact we have on others. So, impact on others and how we conduct ourselves is hugely important if we want to be included. So sobriety helps me more than anything. And that serenity prayer to God or good conscience, your God of your understanding, as it may be, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is always just for today.